Okay, so without further ado, this is the agenda we have for today. So let's get started. I hope you're all getting pumped up and excited now. I would want you to please drop some likes, drop some emojis as I bring up our speaker this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll bring up our guest speaker now. Mrs. Nancy Ekpezu. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. Can you enable me to present?
Of course,
Yes,
you can present.
I think you're co-host, so you can present. So Victoria, just stop sharing your screen.
All right. Oh, okay. So a very, very good morning to all of you here. If you're excited to be here, let me say yes in the comments. And not just yes, say yes that you can hear me and you can see me as well. Can you see me? Can you hear me? I want to be sure that you can see me and you can hear me as well. Can you see me and can you hear me? Okay, so our topic is streamlining school operations for efficiency and growth. Streamlining school operations for efficiency and growth. Please, if you can hear me, I would like to have feedback that yes, you can hear me. That's very important to me, okay? So can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Let's see the comments. If you can hear me and if you can, okay, I can hear you, I can see the slide. Okay, just wanted to be sure about that. All right, so we're starting, we're going on right away. Okay, so we're looking at the topic, streamlining school operations for efficiency and growth. And we know how the way that things are these days, everybody wants growth, everybody wants to be efficient. And we cannot have growth without efficiency. That's the truth. I've been a school administrator in 4 schools, apart from teaching for several years before I became a school administrator. And the truth is, there are so many issues we have in administration. I can tell you for free that when teaching is going on beautifully in the classrooms, it means that something is also going right with admin. Because no matter how talented your teachers are, no matter how qualified, how much you have trained them, if things are not going well in administration, it has a way of rubbing off on everybody and everything else that happens in the school. And that's why you can see talented people leave an organization because they're just frustrated. Yeah, they want to give their best, but the system is not structured in a way that they can function efficiently or effectively. So that's exactly what we're addressing this morning, okay? That's what we are addressing, okay? That's what we are addressing. So streamlining school operations for efficiency and growth. Can you see the next slide? I want to be sure you can see the next slide. Can you see the next slide? Okay, it's working. I just wanted to be sure that you can see the next slide. Okay, so like I was finally introduced by Click Growth Limited, the producers of the amazing Acada Power software that helps with school administration. This is a bit about me, and these are some of the books that I have written. Dear Educator, The School Administrator's Companion, Effective Boarding House Administration, The Manager's Companion, The School Storekeeper's Companion, The Front Desk Officer's Companion, and my ChatGPT story. So we're going to look at the objectives. What exactly will we be learning today? It might not be even anything that is unusually new to you, but maybe there are things that you know in business, but you've never been able to put them together to know how efficient your school can run if you actually implement them. Because sometimes we have head knowledge about some things, maybe we've read them somewhere and they just remain head knowledge. So this is a call to action to everybody that you do not only need to hear and listen to me, but to also be sure that you're taking notes of areas where you need to implement. And at the end, you see that you actually do need technology at this time of age. And I'm glad that that kind of pilot has come up with something that helps, to actually make your school administration go more easier. So what's our objective? We'll learn what we can do to streamline the operations in your school, of course, at my school, our schools, and eliminate operational inefficiencies. We will also learn how to develop standard operating procedures, which are popularly called SOPs. And that's where one of the issues we have in schools really is, because we've seen that a lot of people start schools with a passion. And I tell people, no matter how much passion is oozing from every fiber of your being, if you do not have standard operating procedures. Okay, so I said that we will learn what we can do to streamline the operations in our schools and eliminate operational inefficiencies. I also said that, we'll learn how to develop standard operating procedures. And just before I was muted, what I was trying to say was that a lot of people start schools with passion oozing from every fiber of their being. They'll tell you, I love children, I just love kids, I want to create an environment where children will come and play and learn. But it doesn't stop there, because school is a business. And that's why you need standard operating procedures. That's why you need to be sure that you streamline your operational system in a way that makes it efficient. And if this is not in place, that passion that you have, whether you're a school owner, whether you're a school administrator, is going to wane as time goes by. Because so many things will happen that will overwhelm you if you do not have standard operating procedures to handle your school. So let's start by first looking at what operations mean. I'm not a very big fan of definitions when I take sessions, but it's always good to not assume so that we're all on the same page, okay? Because sometimes we use a term and we think that everybody understands it or that we're on the same page. So just to make sure that we're on the same page, let's have a definition. So operations refer to the day-to-day activities and administrative processes that support the functioning of a school to achieve its goals, its educational goals. So all the non-academic activities that are necessary for the smooth management of the school, that's what we call operations. And operations will include the way communication is done, communicating with staff, with the stakeholders, with students, with parents, your admission process, how your boss runs, how your catering system is done, how the parents are sent home, a whole lot, So everything that is involved in the day-to-day activities and administrative processes that support the functioning of a school to achieve its goals. All the non-academic activities that are necessary for the smooth management of the school. And we want to know, why exactly should a school have operations, in an efficient manner? It's going to help increase productivity and reduce staff workload. Not just staff workload, even staff turnover. I interview my organization consulting recruits, apart from all the things we do around administration and management and boarding house. We also recruit. And one of the common feedback we hear from good candidates we're trying to get into other organizations, it's always things around maybe the school not having a structure, and so their productivity is not going on well, and they're leaving because they're overwhelmed. They just keep loading work on them because they don't have standards for anything. One teacher can be teaching 5 subjects and another would be teaching 2. Everything is just done haphazardly because they do not have standard operating procedures, okay? It also helps you to save costs by minimizing unnecessary expenses and leakages. But we'll come to see the cost of this presentation. One of the areas you need to pay close attention to is your finances. It's gone are the days when people just spend, because they're excited or they just saw items that they think the school needs them. These are the days when schools must budget. Budgeting must become a part of the things that you do regularly as part of your standards, okay, standard operations. It also leads to better decision making. When there are no policies, no procedures, one manager can come, maybe today one school administrator does things in a certain way. Tomorrow another one says, no, that's not how we're doing it in my previous school. I'm coming with something entirely new. And so with every school administrator, every new principal, every new head teacher, there's confusion in how decisions are taken. And they would usually be taken not professionally, but out of sentiment. And that gives room a lot to, victimizing people and having too much personal input that is not professional and for the good of the organization. Your efficient school operations will also help you with increased revenue. If there's anybody on this call who was at the last school where I led, it was a school managed by a multinational, and I was the school administrator responsible for strategic development and reporting to the board. The person would attest to the fact that when I introduced standard operating procedures in the school, because they didn't quite have it together when I came, so we're able to save money, to the tune of about 37 million naira in the 3 years that I was a school administrator. So increased revenue and saving costs is part of the things that you get to benefit when you have standard operating procedures. It also makes for consistency and quality control through standardized procedures. Consistency. The way one member of staff will do something will be the same as way another would do it, because there's a style to doing it, there's a consistency in the system. And anybody who reads maybe your communication will say, oh, this came from this ABC school. Or yes, this is how they've always done their events. There's a standard for it, okay? There's also employee satisfaction, reduced stress, and improved work morale for the staff. So that's just to take a point on why you need to have your school operations sorted out. And then, of course, what happens when there's no administration? There's usually wastage. I cannot tell you how much was wasted in the. I took over my last job before I became a consultant. We had hand wash that was never used, expired, hand sanitizers never used, insecticides that had expired and were hidden somewhere in the store, some things that had just been there and maybe through poor storage, a little damp or a little thing had gone in there, some things that were ordered and not even used, when you were just lying waste, maybe over-ordered, because there were no checks to see how much of each item should actually be ordered. And that's a whole lot of wastage. And when we say wastage, it's a very easy word, but when you apply money to it, when you apply finances to the wastage, you'll understand that you're actually losing money when there's poor administration. There's also poor communication between parents, staff, students, and leadership. Everywhere that there are no proper procedures, you can be sure that communication will be an issue. And I can say that for sure because it's one of the issues that I'm always being called to schools to come and sort. Okay? People say we're not communicated, so we don't know what happens at management level, and we are just doing our own thing. Okay, of course that will lead to low staff morale and high turnover. And of course, when there's high staff turnover and poor staff morale, you can be sure they're not putting in their best, which will lead to reduced student enrollment and retention at the end of the day. So you're not losing students. Okay. So the same way we interview staff, we also get to talk with students sometimes, because when I'm trying to clean up a school, when I'm called in normally to come and audit, I have to interview even those who have left sometimes to ask why they left. And that gives a cue to the lapses in the school, apart from the ones I'll observe. Okay, and one of the things that parents would usually tell you why they withdrew their children is lack of communication, lack of standards for anything, people just waking up and doing things anyhow, increase school fees when you feel like, stop increasing when you don't feel like, just do things haphazardly. Events are not coordinated, no coordination in the entire school. Okay. Another would be that it will lead to losses, financial losses due to poor record keeping. When there are no proper standard procedures for the things you do, you can be sure that you cannot hold anybody accountable for record keeping, for poor budgeting, or even revenue management. then of course then you can be sure that your school will have a poor reputation that people keep leaving. Okay? And through negative word of mouth, you lose even more students. And there'll be lack of accountability for the staff that you supervise as a school administrator. I hope that helps. So I think that that's the key areas that we need to streamline in the school. Okay, a school is made up of so many aspects in administration. Everything rises and falls on leadership. But you see, the operations is all about administration. Most of it is about administration. How well you understand how tasks should be assigned, how roles should be done, timing to get them done, the tools to get them done, the how, everything about administration. So one of the things you will notice is that you have to streamline your admissions and enrollment. I'm working with a school in Lekki to help them put things together. And one of the things I noticed was that they did not even have admissions procedures. You know, they'll have a front desk officer today. That one will do things because she's nice. She'll be very cute, so she'll smile at everybody and try to write on paper the things that they need to bring. And then she'll remember, oh, maybe they left some things here that were typed. No standards. So we've been able to streamline that and have that done properly. I can hear some noise. Is there anything I need to know? Oh, okay. I'm trying to check the comments in case there's anything. All right. I just wanted to be sure that that wasn't targeted at me because I heard some noise. So we've been able to help them get their admissions procedures sorted out, you know, such that they have a place where parents who come for inquiries write down all their details. They have a procedure for following up. When you get home, an email is sent as part of the standard to say thank you for visiting, and then the fee schedule, everything has been done in a way that they have an admissions enrollment bundle that is sent to you, and the templates for the admission letter, all the thing, everything just done in a very seamless manner. So of course, by the time school resumes in September, the parents will be coming as from maybe next month when parents start shopping for schools for the next school year. They will see a completely organized system around their admissions and enrollment, which is a plus. Because even the way that things are done haphazardly can be put off to some parents who would end up not enrolling their children in the school. So you need to tidy up admissions and enrollment. How are the materials for enrollment handled? Who handles them? You have them online on your website. You have them on your school management system. These are things that you must not take lightly. Then, of course, the communication system. I tell people that most of administration is communication and relating with the people that you communicate with, okay, and putting systems to make sure things work. So when there's no communication system, it's a big problem, okay? Anytime you see parents come to a school to drop their children on a day when they should be at home, maybe a holiday, and they tell you, I didn't know that there's a problem. Whenever you ask somebody, where is this taking place in your school? And a member of staff just looks at you, you know, blankly and doesn't even know what's going on. Know that there's a communication problem. Communication is the hub of achievement and performance. Okay, one of the things that we do at Ekpezu Smith Consulting is performance management. And I have found that a lot of schools do not have staff performance management systems. You know, even right now, I'm working with at least 3 schools, one in Ibadan, one in the south, and one in Lagos, to help them put their performance management in place. A lot of schools do not have templates for evaluating staff. They do not even have KPIs, no key performance indicators. They do not even have goals. They don't set goals. And I tell people, when people are in admin, it's very easy to come to work and not achieve anything and just be forming that you're busy, moving up and down, you know? And at the end of the day, you might not really be productive. You might not be efficient or effective at the things you're doing if there's no proper way to account for your time. Okay, so an effective performance management system will help you monitor what is going on and whether people are actually performing. And when you do not know how to do this as administrator or school owner, then there is a problem. Okay, Of course, that will involve defining job roles and setting expectations. Some people just say, oh, I'm employing you so that you work hard. Working hard is not why you employ someone. There are targets, there are specific goals that they need to achieve. I mean, they do not know this, they'll just be going, round and round. Then, of course, there's curriculum delivery and academic operations. You need to decide what curriculum does your school actually utilize. What do you implement? Is it a blend of British? Is it British? Is it a blend of British and Nigerian with the American curriculum? What it is? Are you using the Montessori approach? Do you have the things to deliver? Or do you just say verbally and while you're doing something else? Okay. Then you need to also standardize your lesson plan. What is a standard lesson plan in your school? Okay, you have a template for it that works so that others can now bring in their creativity to it, but at least they know what is expected. You have a learning management system that is approved for use. But let's remember, once visited a school, the school runs a Nigerian curriculum and just brings in a bit of British. And somebody was busy teaching the children another curriculum. I don't know what to talk about. It was so funny. They of school did not know what was going on. This person went and got a curriculum from another school and was very excited about it. I was using it to teach the children physics. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with bringing creativity, but you see, when this is not done in a standard way, you won't even be able to monitor what is wrong. What if the teacher was going to use a curriculum that will not actually help the children test for the exams that they will eventually take? What has been encouraged a lot of out-of-the-box thinking. You also want to be sure that there are standards for the things that you do. Even creativity is brought to bear, where there's structure, so that there's no haphazard actions just taken by staff, anyhow. Another thing we want to bother about is data management, record keeping. I cannot tell you how important record keeping is in administration. You see some schools that have been in the news for negative things. Some couldn't defend themselves, even if they did the right thing, just because they did not have proper records to keep for the things that they did right. So data management and record keeping are absolutely important and need to be standardized. How do we keep records? By the way, I have a video on my YouTube channel. It's titled Record Keeping School Administration and Record Keeping, and there's another one on creating a filing system for your school. So you might want to watch them after this because they will really help you. So record keeping, what records do you keep? Who keeps them? Okay, and all of that. Where are they kept? How will people have access to them? All of these are very important. Will you keep them in digital copies, or will you have paper copies? Do you have a filing system? All of these are very important in school administration. Okay. And of course, like I've been saying since the beginning of this webinar, operational policies, procedures, and standard operating procedures, SOPs, very important for every aspect of what you do. Then, of course, you have to look at your safety and facilities management. What are the procedures for allowing visitors into the school? Do they wear a tag so that you identify them? Is there a place they sign and have their contact details? Do you have anything monitoring who comes in? Or do you have anyone who monitors? How are facilities maintained in your organization? Do you have procedures for reporting items for repairs, things that are damaged? How do you know when something is so damaged it has to be thrown away? Do you have procedures for discarding of things that you no longer need? On my last job, we had procedures for all those things, okay, because we had to put them together. You have procedures for emergency response and facility usage, who is allowed to use what and to what extent. And we need to identify the bottlenecks in school operation. Poor communication is one of them, okay? There are some times when the people at the top are so high up there that they do not connect or communicate effectively with those at the mid-level or lower level. And that's a huge gap. Okay? So that's usually a problem. So you see that sometimes the staff under are doing things right, but because there's no standard, there's no communication, everything is just done, in a funny way. Then, of course, like I said earlier, some schools have inefficient record keeping. And all of these things, if there's poor communication from the top to down, and you've not streamlined how communication should be done, it will lead to slow decision-making processes. So you hear sometimes schools have complaints from parents, and they say, oh, I'll get back to you. What they mean is I'll go to my Oga, so to say, to get permission or to hear what they have to say, which sometimes is never done, you know? So you must have procedures for how to handle complaints. How are decisions taken? Who takes them, by the way? So you have to, then when there's non-standardization of processes, it actually causes a big problem. I think this is where I will take before the Akada Power team will go on to the next one. So leveraging technology, I will stop on this slide. I'm sure after that the Akada Power would like to talk to you a bit. I see that on the program. And after that, I'll have the next half of it. So leveraging technology for automation of school operations. We are in the age of technology, whether we like it or not. And believe me, when I recruit for schools or other organizations, one of the things we look out for, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a manager, an administrator, or whatever position you're coming to occupy in the school, we make sure that you're tech savvy. Because you just cannot run away from technology. And you're lucky that you're in an age where there are so many, software, school management software that have been created by various organizations to help you manage and automate your school operations. And at this time, you might want to consider reaching out to the Akada Power team because their creators, their software actually caters to these things that I'm going to discuss, okay? So for student admission and enrollment, you need to keep records. And you can use technology for that as well, okay? Attendance tracking of staff, you need to have records. The days when we would come and just sign using paper, pen and paper, and then one staff will sign for 3 people, and you'll be looking all over the school for the other 2 and not know that they have not even arrived. They actually sign for them in advance before they arrive, so that everybody would think they're already in school. Those days are gone because with technology, you can track attendance of students, you can track attendance of staff, which makes it a whole lot easier for you. It just stamps the exact time that staff arrive in school or when students get in. Then the payroll and finance management. A lot of the school management software actually have this function where you can manage the finances of the school. I hear some of them even have things for approving budgets, approving a whole lot, and some can be customized to suit you. So if you want a particular function in finance that is not already on their software or the system, you can say, oh, okay, I need you to tweak it to suit my school in this certain way, okay? Then, of course, you have parent communication via email, SMS, or app notifications. Most software cater to this, and the Akada Power does that. Lesson planning, report card template. You can even customize your report card to suit you. So enough of those paperwork. We're all going paperless, but the level to which some schools are going, they're already achieving a paperless school because even the children's textbooks are actually on their tabs and a whole lot. So, and the workbooks and all of the things are done electronically. So the school administrators' reports and other reports can also be done electronically. So if you're a school administrator and you do not know how to use technology, or you're not even improving on your use of tech, then I have news for you that the world has left you back in the Rockies, and you might not have any place in 2025 and beyond as a school administrator. Then, of course, maintenance repair. You can create templates. You can have school fee reminders to the parents. You can issue receipts and other needs as your school deems fit, as you go on. So I think it's already level 55, which is almost 12. So I think the Akada Power can take over from here, and then I can do the remaining part of this as stated in the. And I come back to be talking about how to create a standard operational system for your school. So thank you for your time. Thank you so much. All right, so I said earlier that I'm not a very big fan of definitions, but it's always good that we are on the same page, okay? We're looking at creating standard operating procedures. What are standard operating procedures or SOP? They are written step-by-step guidelines that detail how specific tasks and procedures should be carried out to ensure consistency, efficiency, accountability, and quality across all operations in your school. And they're important because they help you to maintain high standards, to reduce errors, and also to enhance productivity and ensure smooth day-by-day operations. So let's again look at key processes that need standard operating procedures. Okay, you need your admission and enrollment done properly. You need to know what is the procedure when a parent visits your school. You know, you start by when they come for inquiries, you tell them, okay, I will take you on a tour around the school, then we'll give you the fee schedule, or we'll give you access to our website so you check everything we do, or we have a session with you where you can ask all the questions. So you need to have standard operating procedures. Then we did mention the staff performance evaluation, not just teachers, everybody. Okay, everybody who works in the school. On my Select shop, I have templates for evaluating everybody, every position in the school system, even up to cleaners, you know, what you call the janitors, groundsmen, security staff, caterers, teachers, admin team, accountants, heads of schools and management, senior leadership teams, okay? You also need to have standard operating procedures for reporting and resolving conflict resolution. Okay, conflict resolution, you have to have standards for handling bullying cases. How do you handle that? Who is responsible? You know, and all of that. Procurement and inventory management. I think I mentioned that earlier before the break, before the Click Growth team to come back. Then behavior management of staff recruitment and management. How do you recruit staff? What's the profile of the staff who should be in your school? How do you manage them? How do you retain them? So all of these things, curriculum delivery and assessments. So let's look at the how to, okay? We've said what the standard operating procedure is. Now we're going to look at how to document and implement it. The first thing is that you need to identify all the key processes in your school. And this might differ from one school to another. For some schools, you might have something like catering, communication, bus management. Some schools do not do bus runs, you know, because it's not really profitable. So some schools do not do it. Some schools do not do catering. They don't give school lunch. Okay, they don't provide school lunch. And there are some schools where school lunch is a major attraction for parents because busy parents can easily pick their children up and be sure that they are well fed before they come home. All right, so you need to identify key processes. What are the processes that we do in admin in this school? You write them down. Catering, bus service, supervision of staff, lesson plans, you know, things around academic operations, you know, organizing exams, liaising with the ministry. Basically, all the processes, you just sit down with your team and get all of them, you know, together. Then you break each process. So let's take admission now, for example. If you just say, oh, we are attending to parents who come for admission, it can mean anything because one person can come and do it in a certain way, another will come and do it in a totally different way. So you're not saying this is our procedure, this is our standard for attending to those who come for inquiries for admission. Number one, you take down their details. Okay, maybe you have a place where you just say, oh, you're welcome to ABC group of schools. Okay, please sit down, and then you give them the form to fill. You know, maybe that form has their name, email address, and the details you need. And then you now go on to have a conversation about the history of your school, what you do, the curriculum you take, and what you have won, and all of that. And then you would ask if they would like to have a tour of the school, so that you take them round to check out various facilities that you have. And then they can go on to ask you questions, and you want to know exactly what class the child is, and all of that. Then, of course, you have to also have on your process the documents that they need to bring. So the inquiry is the first stage, school runs, documentation of whatever, maybe the profile of whoever is coming, the name of the child, the age, the last class that they did. And then you also want to get the documents from the child, maybe their last results, immunization records, if they're coming to early years, let's say, yes, their last progress reports from their class, from the class they attended. That's because some parents might want to skip if their child just finished year 2. They can say that they want to do year 4. The Nigerian parents are wonderful people. Sometimes they don't like all these delays, you know, with their kids in school. So they can come and tell you, my child just finished year 3. So insist on their birth certificate, because that's because you have an age policy for admission. You know what age every child should be, and what class every age child should be admitted into. So you go get all the documents. The next thing is what maybe they sit for the exam, or maybe they can easily download the form from the website. We just basically everything you need, they do. You write all of them down, and then you arrange them in the order in which they will happen. That's simply a process. Then, of course, you have policies to also back up your admission, such as we have an admission policy. If a child is 1 year old, he should be in the play group. If a child is maybe 6 years old, the child will be in year 1 or year 2 or whatever, you know, and we give preference to those who already have children in our school because we like siblings to be in the same school. Whatever, you know, just make sure that you have policies and then you have broken down your procedures in a way that any parent who comes for inquiries in your school knows exactly what to do, up to the point where they get the admission letter assigned to a class, what, the fees should be paid for social time. You have it there. So there's a standard to guide everybody in admin on admission. Okay? And they know that they will not just bring a child without the child taking a test, without the result being released, without this, without that, without the school seeing the birth certificate of the child or the previous reports from their last school. They use clear and simple language. Please, if you can call something a snake, don't call it serpent. Don't call one big name. Just call it. You try to use everyday language that everybody understands, and try to make the steps as simple as possible. Then create templates. If that particular procedure requires templates, create templates for it. For example, for employee performance management, you definitely need templates for it because it helps, you know, to get the exact criteria for evaluating stuff. Then you review and validate. Just because you've written something and tried it doesn't mean it must become standard year in, year out. When you have used it, you get feedback from those who are using it and then ask, is there no better way we can do it? Get suggestions and then validate or review or whatever. Then communication is communicated to all the staff. There's no point working on documents, having your procedures, and then you just store it in a file in admin, and nobody that using it knows. Then you now start shouting at everybody. Those people know we have procedures. Sounds. There are procedures, there are policies, but they're all hidden somewhere in the file in admin and never taught to the staff, never implemented, never used. So don't be one of such schools. Communicate this to all the staff, organize and store it in a place everybody can have access to. And if all of this needs to be put in a school, in a handbook, I'm currently working on that. Like I said, in a school, two schools in Lekki actually, where I'm helping them to streamline all the activities, have them properly documented in a way that they become a handbook, an employee handbook that guides everybody on how things are done in the school. You need to train. Okay, introducing it to the staff, make sure you have a time of training and proper orientation of the staff to all your policies and your procedures. So educate the staff on how to use the standard operating procedures through workshops and training sessions. Provide a handbook or online access to the documents. They are not secrets that should be hidden. They are things to help your operation, okay? So monitor compliance and regularly check that the SOPs are followed. Use a checklist and performance evaluation to assess compliance. Are they really complying or is it just on paper? Review and update regularly. Then create accountability systems. Ensure that there are consequences for not complying. So if someone is handling admission and just eagerly likes the face of a child and eagerly maybe a member of staff likes the face of a child and just legally admits the child into the school without following the procedure, don't just commend them for their eagerness, that's very good, they want to grow the school, or reprimand them for not following the procedure, okay? Because when health records of children are not seen, when their previous report cards are not there, the immunization records can create problems later for the school, no matter how enthusiastic is about admitting children into the school. And also enhance collaboration and communication. Communication between staff, parents, and students is very important for many reasons. And then you also need to improve communication, with staff. You can include like staff meetings to disseminate the information. You can use digital platforms such as WhatsApp, Google Classroom, Slack. Some big organizations use that, Telegram, and of course your school management software. And if there are policies or procedures that involve parents, ensure that parental engagement strategies are used to disseminate the information, maybe through their newsletters or through your website by making an announcement, your online portals, or through the various communication tools that you use like WhatsApp, emails, and all that. So establish feedback loops for improvement. Okay, if it involves staff and you have just maybe introduced a policy or a procedure, it's always good to get feedback when they have used it for some time. Okay, and listen attentively to the feedback. And you can send feedback, you can receive feedback through monkey surveys, Google Forms, Microsoft Forms, or whatever form that is can be filled online. And another thing that would help is delegation and goal clarification. Also encourage teamwork. You can't work in isolation when you're an admin. Of course, use technology to save time on your operations. I can't emphasize that enough. Even booking appointments. Like for my organization, we use Calendly and Google Calendar for scheduling appointments. Okay, and then to plan ahead. When you look at how things are, you have your streamlined operations, it helps you get more effective and you can easily plan. I would like to touch is financial efficiency in school management. You know that there are schools where there are no receipts, they use the same account of the owner to receive money, even for school fees. These are not practices that are encouraging if you're going to have a properly structured school. You must always separate your finances as a person from that of the school. Operational cost. But how will you know what cost you have if you're not putting them down, if there's no record? Okay? And implement digital payment system for transparency. If there's still any school receiving cash now, I have serious worries about you. Serious worries. If there's still a school where people count money, naira, count 1, 2, 3, and put on the table, then the accountant takes and counts and writes a receipt, then there's a problem. You must implement a digital payment system for transparency. But of course, I want to be careful about that, depending on where your school is located. If your school is located in a remote village where digital payment is something that is strange to them, then I'm sorry, I don't know how to help you because I am a tech-savvy person and I love digital, the digital life, okay? Learn to budget for long-term financial sustainability. That is tough to do in a country like Nigeria, but when you have a budget, it's easier to tweak and keep amending than when you do not have any at all and you're just spending out of emotions or recklessness. Things in place to prevent fraud and financial mismanagement. And that's where control comes in. On my last job, I had to put in a lot of control. You know, working with procurement, making sure we know how things are actually requested. How do we request for things? Who receives them? Who approves? Who buys them? Who receives them? How do we store them? All of these things will help you to prevent fraud. You will not understand how much money is lost in schools due to store and procurement. Those are two areas that people ignore a lot. Okay, they just complain, oh, my money goes to salaries, but they don't have a close look at the store. The store and things around budgeting, procurement, very, very important. Ensure that all fees are paid by parents. I have news for you. My last job, we had about 1,000 students and I had about 130 staff working under my supervision. When I took over, the school was owed money by parents to the tune of millions. But I went on and I went out to see how I could recoup some of the money, and I did. And after that, I put things in place. And after 2 terms in the school, at the end of that school year, we achieved 100% fee collection. 100, with my lips, 100 fee collection. So when people say that, oh, you don't know the kind of parents we have, I'm sure they are all Nigerians, or at least mostly Nigerians, and maybe just a few foreigners that you have to deal with. If you do not put policies in place, if you do not see efficiency in your financial management and the way the processes you put in place, that's the same way parents will respond to you. Because those parents that you're trying to, not bother with them with money, they are busy buying a Ashwebi somewhere. They are buying Gele for the next event, even the one taking place today somewhere. Some of them have bought the uniform. They are there already eating rice and tying Gele, and with money that could have been used to pay school fees in your school. So please ensure that you put processes in place, have policies. Okay, my policy normally is, if it's a boarding school, when you're bringing your child, you pay half, minimum of half. We encourage you to pay all because it helps us. But if you cannot pay all, you pay half, and then you pay the remaining half before the child is checked in after midterm. If you pay half and you bring the child back after midterm, I'm sorry, you have to take your child home. When you start all these, people will abuse you, they will call you names, but once they get used to it, they comply. So we had 100% fee collection because we were tracking. Some of you don't even know how much percentage of your fees parents are owing. I do everything graphs, we plot graphs. This is the number of parents, class by class. The ones who have paid, the ones who have not paid. The ones who have paid, what percentage? The ones who have not paid, what percentage? And then we change them. So for day students, you make sure that you collect all your money as you're resuming, or you give they come to you and plan with a payment plan. And you make sure you follow that payment plan thoroughly. Because money is very important in a school and you cannot afford to play with it. A lot of you are frustrated because instead of you to admit that you have 400 students, you have 600, 200 are not paying fees, and they give you more headache than the 400 that are paid. So please wisen up in your financial management and efficiency and make sure that you do the right things. put policies in place, have standard operating procedures for everything finance, and you see a change. But you sit up on your finances, parents will sit up because they're spending money somewhere. They're taking their children out to Chinese restaurants, they're eating. Sometimes the money they spend in a day in all those places can actually pay half of the fees that you're chasing them for. But because they see that your school has no standard procedures, they treat you just the way you treat your finance. So I've said this, I think I've used this admission process long enough. Okay, so let me not go on and on about it again. And then learn to reduce paperwork and improve parent experience of your school. Develop strategies for increasing student retention, okay, and track admission trends to make informed decisions. For curriculum and academic, automate lesson planning and grading. These days, with artificial intelligence, a lot of those school management systems now even have AI. Okay, they help you with lesson planning and grading. Okay, and then also decide on the learning management system you can use for efficiency. And luckily, some school management software also have a learning management system in them. Okay, standardize the assessment and reporting, have rubrics for grading and all that. Reduce teacher work with digital tools. So teachers can easily make their lesson plans within minutes. Against before, when they will pack out the lesson plans home and work at work, your wife will be talking to you, ignoring her. Your husband is talking to you, you're ignoring him, all because of lesson planning. This can be done digitally now, and with digital tools at the snap of a finger. So in summary, no school can go long term without streamlining its operations and having standard operating procedures. Believe me, make sure there are clear communication channels in the school. Clear communication channels with parents, with staff, with students, with vendors, with basically everything that you work with, okay, everyone and every person that you work with. So what are the next steps if you've attended this webinar? You need to review your school's operations, have a proper look. Like I said, write down everything you do, break them down. Not two policies in two schools should be exactly the same. Apart from, of course, the standard ones like child protection, health, medicals. Don't say, oh, Ms. Nancy said our school operations, our policies can be different. Then you now say in this school, anybody can administer Panadol to a child when he has a headache or administer drugs. No. Please make sure that you have ensure that you keep to the standard for schools. There are standard policies every school must have. Medicals, health, safety, So for medicals, things like the nurse not prescribing drugs, that's a standard best practice anywhere. So don't go against it just because I said your school can do differently. But your daily operations, make sure that you tweak them in a way that suits your school. Getting the right school management system to facilitate your school's operations. And like I said, this webinar was sponsored by Akada Power, which is produced by ClickRight and Click Growth Limited. And they have told you all the things that they have on the software. And since you have the attention to have all the questions answered, you might want to ask all the questions you have to help you take a decision. Another thing will be to train your team on the fundamentals of school administration. And you can be sure my team will do an excellent job on that. Read the right books. I have several books, one of which is Dear Educator, the school companion. Yeah. Hello.
Was my neck.
Why do you keep muting people? Someone muted me. just going on and talking. Okay, so I think I can continue now. Someone actually muted me, and I was, I'm actually on the big slide, so I wasn't checking the settings there. So let's take this again. It means that you did not hear the last steps, okay? So I did say that the next steps would be for you to review your school's operations. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I was talking about the next steps for every attendee. So I think we need your school's operations. Like I said earlier, break them down and make sure you have policies and procedures to cover everything you do. And I did say that every school must have standard policies. There are policies that are required of you just by being in school. Medicals, health, safety, things around child protection and safeguarding, anti-bullying policies, those are standards. But the day-to-day operations will be different depending on the school, okay? So for every school, look at what you do and then make sure that you write out the procedures for getting them done so that you standardize them for every staff. And then consider getting the right school management system to facilitate your school's operations. And like I said earlier, this webinar was sponsored by Click Growth Limited, the creators of Akada Power, which is a school software management system. And you might want to consider that. And luckily, you have them to answer all your questions at this webinar or to get into the WhatsApp group they've created to ask any question you have that will help you take a decision. I train your team on the fundamentals of school administration, and you can be sure that my team will do an excellent job because we are known for school administration, boarding house administration, school management, and ethics, professionalism, and the likes. Read the right books. I have books on school administration and effective boarding house administration, The Educator, and all of these books are amazing and good for you to have. So in case you forgot about me, I'm Nancy Ekpezu, the lead consultant at Ekpezu Smith Consulting. I'm also the author of 8 books, and I've listed some of them for you. I'm a certified life coach, I'm a chartered administrator, and I've been a school administrator in 4 schools, apart from teaching for over 10 years before I moved into management in 2005. So it's been my pleasure taking this, and I need you to connect with me on Facebook. I'm Nancy Mba Ekpezu. That's the only place you'll see my middle name. Okay, Nancy Mba Ekpezu. And on LinkedIn, I'm Nancy Ekpezu. Every other place, I'm Nancy Ekpezu, apart from on Facebook, where I'm Nancy Mba Ekpezu. I have a YouTube channel where I share content on school administration, boarding house administration, professionalism, ethics, personal development, and all that. So it's a go-to channel, and you can easily subscribe right away. So connect with me on LinkedIn and leave a review for me about this presentation and what you learned, and tag me. So do a post on Instagram, tag me, tag Akada Power, and remember to contact Akada Power to answer questions, okay, about how to go. So connect with me on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and that's my WhatsApp enabled line, +234 803 5880367. And I have a seller shop. It's a one-stop shop for school administration items. All the templates, evaluation templates, report templates, a whole lot. Not report card, I mean reports for school administrators, handover templates, all the templates you've ever wanted to get, but you don't have them, you don't know how to create them. Just stop on my seller shop. The name of the shop on seller is Nancy Ekpezu from Ekpezu Smith Consulting. And that's my email, ekpezusmithconsulting@gmail.com. My YouTube, make sure you actually get that today. So thank you very much. Thank you for your attention. And thank you, Akada Power, for having me. It's been a pleasure doing what I love to